Heidi ho, everyone, and welcome aboard. It's wonderful to have your company this Sunday, the 30th of, October. I nearly said December. Can't come fast enough. Not. We're welcome, as usual, to our weekly wander around the world as we check to see what's on the minds of the actions of stable traders, I suppose. Stable being quite pertinent here in Australia at the moment, as the biggest horse race in this country is about to take place in a couple of days' time. Tonight, however, we're off to New Zealand, who keeps winning the Melbourne Cup, Singapore, South Africa. Where else are we going? Salvador. Then we're coming back through Singapore and back to Australia. But first up, we will go across the ditch and have a chat to our good friend who I haven't seen for ages. It's wonderful to see him, smiling face from across the ditch there in Auckland, New Zealand. Okay, Jules. I know he's there. Maybe we've lost Julian.
He looks stuck.
Julian, are you there?
Jeff, I am here.
I can't hear you, mate. You're
a faction.
There you
go. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, mate, I can. All good. Are you good?
Brilliant.
Oh, I'm not sure if Julian can hear me.
Okay.
Can you hear me, Jules?
Let me just find my thing to.
I think we're having issues with Julian's connection, or is it just me? I think everything else seems to be okay. We'll just wait a second until that comes good. If it doesn't come good, we'll just move on. And hopefully hook up with Julian in a bit. No, mate, you're very, very, very faint in the background, and the connection is very, very poor. Very unstable. Maybe it's windy in Auckland, I don't know. What we will do, because we've got Lexi in the room, is we'll just move straight on. Hopefully Julian can fix that issue, and we'll come back to him shortly. I don't know if he can hear me or not, but hopefully that's the case. So let's check in with the fundamental part of what's going on around the world and say a very, very good evening in Singapore to Alexis. Lexi, how you doing?
Hi, Jeff. Hello,
You
hello.
well?
Yes, doing all right.
Look at your smiling face. You're beaming. Absolutely. You're not pregnant, are you?
No.
No, I didn't think so. Just thought I'd check.
Yeah. All right.
What's the world of fundamentals telling us at the moment, mate?
Well, it's very, I would say the fundamentals is in a very interesting place right now. We are, I think, what I would call it in the era of unexpected, right? There's a lot of things that we didn't or the market didn't expect. If you look at it in the last maybe like 5 years, a lot of market overextensions. You know, you can actually see a lot of overextensions happening in a lot of the currency indexes around the world. So the question is, we have a unique situation of overextension of currencies and inflation. I'm going to use the word overextended as well, you know, to just elaborate the fact that I think inflation in a lot of the developed countries are at a high where it's never been for a very long time, right? So we are in a new regime of inflation and overextension in terms of currencies. So I guess that makes it interesting for currencies because I'm pretty sure the next question will be, and I'll probably also ask Julian that question, when will things start reversing? You know, when do the reversal traders start to make their money, right? So that's probably one big question that I'm sure everybody is kind of waiting for. You know, everybody's waiting for that wonderful reversal trade that will make us that huge early entry, which gets in on, you know, whatever we're trading in. So I think that's a curiosity which I have, but I'm just going to borrow Lloyd's indicator list to just go through this overextension. So in terms of overextension, I think it's a really common technical idea that, you know, overextensions happen when it's past all support and resistance levels. So I'm on a monthly chart here. Dollar index, pretty okay. I mean, it's somewhere in a middle-ish, so not too bad. But for the rest of the world currencies, you know, look at the Canadian dollar. It's so close to the bottom, reaching its overextension. British pound minus, if you minus that very first 2007, I'm assuming this is the financial crisis candle or something. It's also, at its lowest point where it's never been in the last, almost 15, 20 years. You have the Australia all at the bottom. You have the Swiss all the way nearing some sort. I wouldn't. This area is probably due to its change in unpegging. And then we have the euro. So these currencies which are very overextended, those are the ones that I'm pretty curious about. The question would be how high can it go / how low can it go? So the Japanese yen is another curiosity, right? Very overextended. And over here, New Zealand dollar index, I would say not quite there yet. If we just look at candle price, there is still a little bit of space to go over here. So I think it's mainly like the euros, the euro and the yen is one currency that I'll be very curious about, right? And if we look at the dollar yen per se, I think for a lot of traders, we have been looking at dollar yen for, I think, since June till now. This dollar yen story has not ended yet. It's beat its historical data on TradingView. But if we go on other platforms like Yahoo Finance, etc., the last 30-year resistance would be at the 146 mark. We kind of broke that in the last 2 weeks. We hit just above 150. So of course, my next question is, with the US dollar expected to increase its interest rates next week to 4%, and the Japanese government, even though they did an official so-called intervention in September due to a bond transaction purchase, right? My question is, will they continue to intervene? Will they come in and say, okay, 150 yen is as low as we are willing to go in terms of its import-export parity, right? Because the more expensive the dollar is for the Japanese economy, it would mean that it will be more expensive to import in terms of whatever they're buying from the US. And not to forget, I think almost like 60, 70, even more % of the world's trade is actually invoiced in dollars, right? When you're dealing with international trade, a lot of these products, not just commodities, right? Even your, I think, daily products, manufacturing stuff, they're all invoiced or quoted in US dollars, just because US dollars is such a widely used currency. So if you now have a problem of, if all your if you're doing international trade and everything is quoted in, priced in, or invoiced in the US dollars, how does this then affect companies who are dealing with supplies coming in from the US? Do they have to get creative about it? Do they have to find alternative imports? Like, do they have to go to China, or even figure out if there's a way to import from Russia illegally, etc., etc.? So I think policies are going to start to change back end in a lot of these countries, where a lot of countries, and I think we see the news as well, a lot of economies are trying to figure out, is there any other better currency to invoice in? So in the recent months, we have seen articles that are talking about, okay, let's invoice stuff in the euro, or between the China and Russia, they're already, I'm pretty sure they're already starting to transact between themselves, Russia / renminbi or whatever it is. And we also have India jumping into the pot, right? India is now willing to pay in renminbi or willing to pay in less USD. So will this 4% increase, this 4% textbook increase, where hypothetically or theoretically you increase interest rates, it's supposed to give you some strength to the currency due to the interest rate differential, right? How long will this economic concept go when people are starting to feel a little bit unhappy, or they are starting to dislike the US dollar per se, right? But of course, until that sentiment changes into some kind of policy of fruition, we probably will see dollar strength, because if you don't really have a choice, you just have to transact in dollars, then you have to transact in dollars. So in conclusion to my very long-winded explanation, all right, is for the dollar yen, will we continue longing the dollar yen? So this is my dollar yen chart on the daily time frame. All right, we have a very nice strong resistance at a 146, and bearing in mind 146 is I will call it a 1998 resistance, right? If we go on like Yahoo Finance, you will see that 1998 price has actually rejected off this area in historical data. In terms of historical data, what it has done, it has given us, I'm going to quote Lloyd over here, it has given us quite Lloyd's a very happy break and retest. So my question is, or I'm pretty much hoping that this break and retest holds, and we will see another push to 150. And then when we reach 150, I guess we'll have to figure out whether or not the Japanese government is ready to change its policies, whether or not we will see them coming down and saying, okay, this is the limit, right? But if they don't change its policies, they are still going to sit tight on their low interest rates because I think their inflation numbers are not too bad. The inflation numbers are only at about let me see. I think the inflation numbers are still at a very controlled 3%. All right. So if we compare its 3% inflation across the board with its other counterparts, I would say 3% is higher than the pre-COVID 2+%. But if you compare it to your counterparts, they don't have to be so scared of inflation yet, because it is still only 3% as compared to the US, which is almost 3 times as small, the Euro, which is 3 times as small, UK, 3+ times as small, etc. So in the spirit of that, I still do feel I would prefer to sit on yen shorts, but very cautiously as well, because we are in overextension. So very cautiously on yen shorts, all right, with the expectation that there might be some Japanese buying, Japanese bond transaction to kind of prevent it from going too high. And for US dollars, it's very difficult to sell the dollars at this point, being one of the, I guess, having the highest interest rates and being a little bit more aggressive in its policies. So I guess I'm entering in the period of, while I'm listening to the fundamentals, I have a huge eye on the technicals, because I think the technicals are where the sentiment currently is, where everybody is waiting for each other and seeing where they'll trade or where the candles will go. And then once we see a confirmation, we'll pile in. So I'm really looking forward to what Julian has to say today as well. Over to you, Jeff.
I'm getting the impression that in your view that there's no need to change anything just yet, but stand by.
Yeah, something like that. Stand by and and wait for that signal. I think now it's a lot of patience. We always say traders have to be patient. So this is one of the times where I think we shouldn't go rushing into a reversal or an extension trade, but it's really about be patient and watch out for that signal, so that once that signal comes, we are ready to take our entry, pile in the risk, and hit back up or down, depending on what that signal is. Yeah.
Cool, mate. Thank you very much indeed. I think that's wise advice most times, is it not?
Yeah.
All right. I think we've